All human rights must not be subject to torture, hate, or even violence. Every day people die, and every day people lose lives. People fail to go to school. People fail to have a fair education. People fail to have a fair life. People fail to have dignity and respect in their communities. But all this is as a result of our failure as individuals in our societies to respect the importance of people in our communities, to respect the importance of people in our societies. You have a right and a role to play in your community, in your society, as an individual, wherever you are, wherever you're watching this video from. And I want to share with you today why we have so many chaos and we have so much drama in our communities and our societies. It's because we have failed to understand the values and the principles that we share as individuals, as human beings. We have a reason why we live, we have a reason why we exist, and we have a reason why we have so many things we share in common. But before we try to understand the key values that we always share, we always talk about, when we talk about human rights, I've always shared it in my past videos. Human rights is not just a word. It's understanding the key principles of why human beings live. It's understanding why in your society you're respected, why your mother or father is respected. You have a key factor in the place where you're staying today. But one thing you have to ask yourself, a question, is your legacy. If you create chaos today and people die, the question is, who is going to be there tomorrow? If children die, who is going to be there tomorrow? If a man dies, who is going to be there tomorrow? If a woman dies, who is going to be there tomorrow? We are all important. Many scholars have come up with arguments that women are much more important in our communities, children are much more important in our communities. But I've never had any scholar or any scientist who has ever come to say that a man can be pregnant, apart from the days of Mary, just as it's written in the Bible, that a woman can be pregnant without a man. I've never had a story. I've read several books, I've read several stories, poems, novels, I've watched movies, but I've never watched any movie that a child was born without a man and a woman. So we are all important in our societies, we are all important in our communities. But the question is, who values who? Who respects who? I did this video today, not from the usual place where I normally do it from, because I had traveled. But this was a touching story that came into my mind. I had a chance today to travel via bus. And a woman next to me was carrying 8 children. And she said, if war continues, I will lose my children. And the neighbor said something which I really respected. He said, how about your husband? And the woman, in her explanation, she said that my husband is important, but my children are much more important. And this is what the media is treating us. This is what the media is teaching us. This is what the society is telling us. That men are useless, women and children are important. In the wars, they always put consideration on women and children. How about men who die? Now, as a human rights activist, it touched my mind. It touched my heart. When I heard this story, when I was listening to their conversation, I came to understand that when you are respecting human rights, it shouldn't be based on age, based on sexual orientation. It shouldn't be based on the background of that person, that individual. Human rights is you and me. Without education, we have no development in the society. Without no respect for human life, we have no development in our society. We have respect only if we respect others. And that's what human rights is all about. I've been doing research with friends. We have shared different opinions, and they have told me different stories, and I have told them different stories from my personal experience when I was still in Africa, and even when I tried to go back to Africa. There are the same stories that everyone has had. They've shared so many things. But this teaches me, it doesn't put me down, that we have failed to understand what our values are. We have failed to understand the key principles of who we are. Now the question I want to pose to you, what do you understand by human rights? Is it just a word, or are they just statements, or it's just a book? To me, they're like the 30 commandments. They're like the 30 commandments of our lives today. We respect the 10 commandments that were written in the Bible. Every Christian understands that. Even the atheists know this. But there are these 30 that show us who we are. You understand that you have respect for your dignity. But how about you? What have you done to somebody else to you? We are all important. Silas the Great came up with an ideology that I do really respect today, that if we continue gaining power out of war, we will never be successful. But then they were using horses and spears. Today we're using guns and bombs. They were competing with masses, body masses. Today we are competing with missiles. The problem has never been solved. The challenges have continued taking place in our lives. But the question we need to understand, we need to ask ourselves always, what have we played? What role have we played towards ensuring human rights in our societies? Don't look at your government. Don't look at your executives. Look at yourself. What role have you played as an individual? Recently we had a debate on one of my Facebook pages, Lubuurwa David. And we were on issues concerning with human rights. When the United Nations shared a story telling us that human rights, we deserve human rights without discrimination, hate, or violation. And I started on my argument, and I said, we have put our powers in the executives and the government officials. But if you only understood that each of us, wherever we are in our states, in our situations, we have a role to play, then we wouldn't be facing the problems we're facing today. And many people came up with suggestions, of which some asked me to join Amnesty International. And I said to them, I'll join them. But my emphasis in this video is, I want to remind you that you are the person who is responsible. You have a role to play towards making human rights achieved or achievable in your society. Now, one question I want to pose to you before I end this discussion tonight. When you ask the question, how have you promoted human rights in your society? What answer would you give? How would you respond? We talk about human rights every day. I've had a chance to speak before many people, and I've shared with them my vision of where I want to see the world tomorrow. I know I'm a young man, but being young doesn't stop me from fighting for rights of people in my community. You don't need to be a politician to speak, to be a voice in your society. You don't need to be a politician to join the United Nations human rights. You don't need to be a politician to understand the key principles and values in your society. Many people talk about freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, but people just take it slightly for granted. I want you to look at yourself today as you're watching this video and ask yourself this question. What have I played? I've used this question several times in today's discussion, because I believe in the next coming discussion that we're yet to have in this year 2017, we are going to broaden what human rights really are. We are going to invite different people, experts in the field of human rights globally. And we'll be discussing these very key issues. People look at refugees, people look at a lot of stories, but this is not what the key factors are. The key factors is understanding you yourself. What have you done? And I think that we have stood up together. As you're watching this video, you're going to share it to your neighbors, your sisters, your uncles, your brothers, everyone who is your friend on your Facebook. Try to share this video. Or you can also join me, or like my page, or befriend me on Facebook. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at David Lubuurwa. You'll see many other videos that are motivational, that are encouraging. You and I, if we share